Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. This time on the Someone You Should Know podcast is an award-winning Christian singer-songwriter. And to her credit, she's also voiced several commercial jingles. She's sung with Count Basie and has an autobiography coming out. Will you please welcome my guest this time, Cheryl Paige. How you doing, Cheryl?
Hi, Rick. How are you?
I'm glad to have you on the show here. I understand that your dad was an actor and got you into music at an early age. Can you take us through your formative years and tell us a little bit about Dad's career and how you got into the business of music?
Sure. My dad actually started working on the Jackie Gleason show. And he was like an extra, and he did extra things for Jackie, like stage stuff, and he would do extra work. And I would sit on Jackie Gleason's lap. I didn't even know who he was. I was like 5 years old. And I remember Alice, the one who played Alice.
Right, yes.
Jane Meadows.
Jane Meadows, yes.
She remembered everybody's lines in case they forgot them, because Jackie would never show up for rehearsal because he wanted to be spontaneous. So that was pretty cool.
She had an eidetic memory then, so she basically was able to just about remember anything. Wow, geez, that's incredible.
I know.
I have a hard time remembering my PIN number.
But I remember one time he took a train from Miami to New York on Christmas, and we had a Christmas tree on the train, a band, there was a bar, there was presents for all the kids that worked on the show, their parents, and we'd go all the way to New York and all the way back to Miami. And my brother was born in Miami. Oh, wow. I was made in Miami. And the show kind of broke up from New York and it went to Miami. Mm-hmm. And my father couldn't find work. And he unfortunately became an alcoholic very bad. And kind of ruined his career.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
He bought me my first piano when I was 5.
Oh, my goodness.
So I have pictures.
It was a full 88-key piano?
Oh no, a little tinker.
Little toy piano. Okay, I was going to say, wow. I even when I started playing piano at the age of like 12 or so, my hands were too small to do the octave reaches and such like that. Even today, I struggle with that. But I was going to say, for a 5-year-old with a little tiny hand,
I have huge hands from my dad.
Wow,
and very long fingers because he was very big bone. He was 6'2". So anyway, my dad had an incredible voice. He would sing Al Jolson better than Al Jolson.
Oh, jeez. That's incredible.
And he would always take me on stage with him wherever he went, because I was with him more than I was with my mother. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, my brother was born with a bad heart, so she was in the hospital with him a lot. And I was with my dad. Mm-hmm. So we moved a lot, too, because we couldn't afford the rent and we were poor. So my thing was my music. That was my escape.
Okay.
So every time we moved, I would dress up and dance in the mirror. I don't remember going to school much because I was plucked out of every school, like after 3 or 4 months. So I don't remember the kids. I don't remember any of my teachers. I kind of blocked it out.
Okay.
And because we moved so much, and my music was really the main thing in my life, because that's all I really had. I really didn't have friends, because we moved so much. And, my dad always had albums going like Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald, Mel Torme, and he would take me on stage and make me scat sing with him.
Oh, wow, that's nice. That's nice.
At the age of he was good friends with Rodney Dangerfild. I worked on Dangerfield's show when I got older in his club in New York. And over the years, my dad probably lived vicariously through me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he really didn't get a chance to see most of my things. I started on stage when I was 5, doing The King and I, when I was 5 years old.
Jeez.
On Broadway. So I was in that play for about a month and a half. Then we had to move again.
Oh, my.
So I was plucked out of that. Jeez. Then my mother put me in the School of Performing Arts because I had so much energy. She didn't know what to do with me.
Right.
And she couldn't take care of my brother and me at the same time. And my father was kind of useless because he was drinking, unfortunately. And So after that, as I grew older, we moved from Brooklyn I was born in the Bronx, and we moved to Brooklyn. Then we moved to Long Island. And I think I was in high school maybe a year and a half. I really didn't graduate. I went back to get my
GED?
Yes.
Yeah, the GED. Okay.
So because I wanted to go to Berkeley School of Music.
Right.
So I got my graduation, and then I took my mother's car into the city at 15 years old. I didn't even have a driver's license or a permit. And I went into the city and I started a band, a rock band.
Oh, my.
I was like a teenager. Nobody knew. I was 15, and I dressed myself up older with makeup and hair. And I went in, and people started using me in the studio to do demos. After they heard me sing, they knew I could sing jazz, I could sing rock, I could do disco, I could do anything. So I started doing sessions and getting around the city a lot, and started to work out in jazz clubs. I was going to really bad neighborhoods because it didn't really matter to me, because all I wanted to do was sing jazz. Right. And I was brought up in a bad neighborhood because we lived in the projects, so we were on welfare. So I was used to having kids of all types around me.
Right. Is this where you met Count Basie?
Yeah. I'll tell you the story about Count Basie. When we moved to Long Island, I started to go to this place called Sonny's Place. It was a jazz club out in Long Island. And one night I had a gig from CBS to go and sing with this guy, Bob Page.
Okay.
And the drummer told me after 2 nights, he said, "You're not going to last." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because you're too good." I'm like, "What?" he goes, "Yeah." And
what a problem to have.
And the piano player who owned the band, Bob Page, he kept playing wrong chords, trying to throw me off, but I have perfect pitch, so he couldn't throw me off. And the audience was like asking for me every time. So after 2 days, of course, I got fired. And I went home, and my drummer said, "You have to go to Sonny's Place to sing jazz. You're a great jazz singer." So we're outside, and he goes, "You can't go in there with your real name. We have to think of a really good name." I said, "Well, how about that guy Paige who fired me? How about Cheryl Paige?" He goes, "Cheryl Paige, yeah, that's a good name." I said, "Okay." So we go into Sonny's Place.
So you paid homage to the man who fired you by using that as your stage name. I love that. That's it's like Pat Benatar. I mean, she was married to her original husband that had the name Benatar for only about 5 or 6 years, but she kept the name even though she became Patty Giraldo. So it's just it's amazing. Okay, very good. So you paid homage to that guy by using the name, and then you wound up meeting Count Basie at one of the jazz clubs, right?
Well, this is what happened. I go into Sonny's Place. Sonny's not there. His wife was there, and I think it was a drummer. I forgot his name, but anyway, he was playing. Roy Haynes was playing that night, and I got up to Sonny's wife and I said, "Can I sing?" And she goes, "What do you want to sing?" I said, "Just some standards." And she goes, "All right." So I got up and I sang, and she goes, "You have to come back on Wednesday night when Billy Mitchell is here and Sonny's here." I said, "Okay." So I go back Wednesday night. And this guy, Turk Morrow, heard me that night that I sat in with Roy Haynes. And he goes to Billy, "You got to hear this girl sing." And Billy goes, "I don't like anybody sitting in that I don't know." So Turk says, "Trust me, she could really sing." Well, he wouldn't let me sit in that night, but he hired me on a gig, which was 6 o'clock in the morning at a high school. So he's got a wad of cash in his hands. He goes, now picture this, Billy Mitchell's like 6'2", black guy, sax player. He's huge. I'm a little girl, 5'4". I'm like 100 pounds. He comes over to me, he goes, "If you're good, you get paid like everybody else. If you're not, you got this cash. I'll give you the cash. I never want to see you again." All right. So I go out on stage, I sing, I come back out. He gives me this big hug. He goes, okay, you could stay. You get paid like everybody else. All right. So now he hires me on this gig. He goes, now we're going to go to Connecticut and we're going to do this gig, jazz gig. All right. So we pull up. I'm wearing this horrible dress because we were poor. We didn't have money.
Right. Yeah.
I was the worst looking dress, but it was the only dress I had. I'm 19 years old. Billy goes, come on, let's go. We pull up to this mansion in Connecticut. It was a congressional dinner for all the people from the UN. And who was playing? Count
Basie. Wow, jeez.
I walk in, there's Rolls Royces all over the place, and limousines all over the place. People are dressed to the nines. And Billy hands out my charts. I don't even know who Count Basie is. I was too young. I mean, I've heard of him because my father played albums when I was a kid. So I go in, everybody's like all dressed up with diamonds and gold and gowns. And I walk in this dress, I sit in the corner. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing here? So Billy hands out my charts. I start singing. Count Basie looks up. I don't know if you have the picture. Did I send you the picture?
Yes, you did. Yes, it did. Yes, yes.
The smile on his face, that's what he had every time I sang. Nice. He looked up and he just smiled, told Billy, I want that girl. And I wound up going on the road with him for a while.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So I sang with Count Basie. He passed away after that in the 80s. He was already in his 80s. Mm-hmm. So he was old. He couldn't even walk. And
now, Cheryl, how old are you at this time? You're touring with Count Basie. You're only in your early 20s then, right? Or late teens, early 20s? 19 years old. Jeez. Gee, gang, what were you doing when you were 19 years old?
So the next day, after Count Basie said he wanted me, all of a sudden I'm getting my hair done, my makeup done, they're dressing me and everything, putting on jewelry, all this stuff. And I'm working with him. Melba Liston did my charts, really good charts. And after that, I went on the road with my own band. And I was traveling a lot. And I get a call. My father had already passed away when I was 28. Mm-hmm. He died from liver cirrhosis from drinking. Mm-hmm. And my mom, she came to see me at every concert I did.
Jeez, that's nice.
She was with me for 3 days, and then she went home, and she was supposed to meet me that weekend, come up and see me and stay with me, because I always had my own room, because I was the only girl in the band. And unfortunately, I was going on stage at 10 to 10 at night, and I had anxiety, and I turned to the girl, Becca, her father owned the place. I said, you know what? I don't feel like singing tonight. She goes, what's the matter? I said, I don't know. I just have anxiety about my mother.
Oh, you have premonition.
She goes, well, your mother was just here. She's healthy as an ox. She's fine. You just spoke to her. And I said, yeah, I know. And I went on stage and I sang 2:00. I got it off, and the security guard hands me a note to call home. I called home. I get on the phone. My sister-in-law, right away, without even thinking, she says to me, you're not going to believe this, your mother died. I'm like, what? What happened, a heart attack? She was murdered.
Oh,
what?
Dear Lord.
Are you kidding me? Well, I went into shock. My brain went south.
I believe that, yeah.
I went in my room. I was throwing things in my suitcase. I didn't even know what I had. I came home. I had one sock, one shoe. I couldn't cry. I was in shock. I kept thinking, oh, maybe it's not her. Maybe she's in the hospital. Maybe, it really didn't happen. So I get home and I saw my brother, and I finally fell into his arms and I cried.
Oh, jeez.
I was up the whole weekend. I couldn't sleep at all.
Yeah, I understand that.
I only slept for an hour. I fell asleep an hour before the limo came, and my brother came over and he was hugging me. He said, we have to go. The limo's here. And I don't remember much except them putting my mother's box in the ground. And I was in shock. And I was riding around trying to get things together. I had to go back to the show, do the show. I finished doing the show. I got off the road. 2 weeks after my mother got killed, I got signed to Atlantic Records.
Jeez.
So here I am going in, recording my album and going home and crying my eyes out, going, I don't even want this. I want my mother. Mm-hmm. was the best thing and the worst thing at the same time. But like, I mean, what choice did I have?
Maybe your mom had some influence through the good Lord above to get you that contract. I know
Absolutely, because she put the ad in backstage. There was an ad in backstage looking for vocalists that sounds like Bonnie Tyler. And I was singing Total Eclipse of the Heart in my band.
Goodness gracious.
So I went up there to Atlantic and I auditioned for my producer, Mark Lickett. And I sang Total Eclipse of the Heart. And he was circling my name like crazy. And he goes, so far, you're the only one I'm calling back. Well, the next day, I was signed.
Jeez, that's wonderful.
And here I am. Yeah. I'm in Unique Studios. James Ingram's there. Madonna's here. Mariah Carey's in the other room. I'm doing my album. And I'm going, I can't believe I'm here. And all the time, all I wanted was my mother. Jeez. So I was signed to Atlantic for 2 years. They were using me for other people's albums. Before that, I did commercials for Coca-Cola and Nabisco.
Right, that's what I wanted to transition into. As far as, tell me a little bit about the time that you were doing the jingles and such. You said Coca-Cola and Nabisco. You were working with them also. Can you share a little bit of that time frame in your life?
Sure. In between Billy Mitchell, Count Basie, and signed to Atlantic, I met Billy Davis, who wrote "I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing."
Yeah, the Hillside Singers or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. So I hooked up with him, and he got me a bunch of jingles. So I was doing Nabisco, Coca-Cola. I was making a fortune every month, and for me, it was like, whoa, $2 a month. Now I'm getting $30,000 a month.
Jeez.
And I'm still a kid. So after that, that's when I met Count Basie and everything. And all that happened after the commercials.
Jeez.
The jingles. And I always wanted to sing jazz. I love rock. I have a great rock voice. I don't know if you heard it, but I have a real raspy, loud voice. But I could also sing soft and jazz. And that's what Billy Mitchell loved about me and Count Basie. Anyway, so after leaving Atlantic, I was sitting in the club one night and I said, God, I hate my life. I hate my career. I don't want to sing anymore. I don't want to do anything. You have to do something because I don't want to live anymore. So I'm on stage and this guy's looking at me and I'm like, oh my God. We locked eyes. All of a sudden, he's waiting for me off stage. And I get off stage, he grabs my hand, he goes, what's your name? I told him. We started talking. He gave me a kiss and he literally took my breath away. So we were together from that day on.
Wonderful, wonderful.
He was the son, the movie Hoosiers, with Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, yeah.
Story of my father-in-law's life. I married his son, Jim.
Son of a gun.
Norman Dale Ellenberger. He was the assistant coach to the Indiana Hoosiers with Bobby Knight.
Goodness gracious.
So we used to travel with the team and go and sit behind them with the coaches and watch them practice, watch the games. We went to the Final Four one year, and I had a great life with him. And in the interim, I was getting royalties from my commercial. We had a home improvement business. We were doing all the buildings in New York. We were making a fortune. Then I got pregnant, and I had a miscarriage.
Oh.
And unfortunately, I tried to get pregnant again. I got pregnant again. I had a little girl, and she had congenital heart disease, and she died.
Oh, sweetie, I'm so sad. So you've had a lot of grief suffering in your life. My goodness gracious. So I got to ask you, how did this all transition into becoming a Christian artist?
Okay, my husband, who I met, was a Christian.
Oh, okay, very good.
So he got me born again, took me to the church and got me born again, but I didn't want to do it. But I did it because I wanted to marry him.
Okay.
He wouldn't marry me unless I was a Christian. So I married him. But God had other ideas because while I was in the rock band, I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And one day I'm walking down to rehearsal. I got touched by the Holy Spirit. You know that song, Walking in Memphis? Walking with my feet 10 feet off the bill?
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh, my goodness.
For 3 days, I walked on air, knowing that Jesus Christ was real. And the night before, I was arguing with my husband. Well, how could a woman be a virgin and have a baby? And how could this guy be the Messiah and be hung? I don't believe all this stuff. Well, right after that, the next day is when I got touched. Wow. I was walking down to rehearsal, and I turned around and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And they're like, what are you talking about? We have a show tomorrow night. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to write for God. So I started to go to Bible studies and learn about God. And the first couple of songs I wrote, when I joined the Christian band, I saw the ad in the paper looking for a singer for a Christian band. And that's how I met Rob Carlton.
Yeah. And
so I auditioned for him that very day. We hooked up and we wrote 6 songs.
Wow.
We knew he had something special.
Yeah, I was going to say. And, so, and you and Rob started working together, and
we came up with those 2 albums.
Uh-huh. And we're going to feature one of the songs from it. As a matter of fact, the album we're going to feature is Freedom Road. The track we're going to feature is Handmade. It's a beautiful song of World Vision. Can you give us the backstory on that beautiful song?
Yes, that song was, one day I was walking along and I'm saying I have all this money and I'm looking at the ground and I see all these people, all these homeless people on the ground, living in boxes with all their belongings with them, and they don't even know where they are. And I'm going, we're the richest country in the world. Why is this happening? Why are there people on the street? And I had to go home and write that song. Because we're all the same. In God's eyes, we are all the same. He looks at us no matter what we look at, like how much money we make, what career we have, how we talk. I mean, and I went home and I wrote that song. We're all the same in his eyes.
I absolutely love it. I know my listeners are going to love it too. Here is Handmade from Carlton and Paige on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
We tend to honor the wealthy
the same. That's handmade from Carlton and Paige. Cheryl Paige is my guest this time on the Someone You Should Know podcast. More great music from her coming up in just a couple of minutes, but I want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Someone You Should Know podcast, found on the World Wide Web at SomeoneYouShouldKnowPodcast.com. If you visit there, we've got over 200 episodes and a whole lot more. We've got recent news and a way for you to reach out to us and tell us how you think we're doing. Now, according to Buzzsprout, the service that shares installed the streaming platform, so incredibly blessed to reach over 2,400 cities in 93 countries around the world. I want to salute a couple of new ones here. Hoffman, New Jersey, Napoleon, Ohio, Alston, Massachusetts, and how about this? Vienna, Austria. The Someone You Should Know podcast heard wherever quality streaming audio is available. I want to say thanks for listening. We're speaking with Cheryl Paige. And Cheryl, I understand you've got a autobiography coming out. How's that coming?
Right now, I'm writing my book, and it's called Turn the Page.
Turn the Page. Oh, perfect, too. Because
my last name.
Paig. Okay, I love that. Turn the Page, an autobiography. Can you give us an idea when it'll be coming out?
It should be out by the end of this year.
By the end of this year. All right, very good. Cheryl, what we're going to do is when it does come out, I want you to contact us, okay? And what we'll do is we'll put a link on our news page, and that way everyone can get a copy of it maybe for Christmas or something like that. Be an ideal thing right there. We'll go ahead and, put the link to either your website or wherever it might be sold. So tell us a little bit more about the autobiography.
Sure. It's all about how I started writing Christian music. And two of the songs that are on my Facebook is one's called Sometimes I Cry, and the other one is called You Are My God. Phil Keaggy plays on those two. I don't know if you know who Phil Keaggy is.
No, I don't. Okay,
he's a Christian guitar player. This guy is such a grounded man in God. And I met him in my church, the first church I went to. And he came and did a solo gig. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to go see him because I don't like folk music. I mean, I like it, but it's not my style. Uh-huh. And I thought he was a folk singer because he just had a guitar and it was him. So my husband forced me to go to the church. Well, I went and I sat down in the pew and he came out and he started singing like Paul McCartney and playing guitar like Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, geez.
But he was doing Christian music. So he did almost a 2-hour show, and he didn't want to give out any autographs or take pictures. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, my pastor took me back to meet him. So I was the only one who met him. We locked eyes and we started talking. And I told him how I became a Christian and how I met my husband, about my mother. He said, well, I lost my mother too at a very young age. And we had connected with that. And I wrote those two songs and we became really good friends. Wonderful. I started going to his concerts. And when he heard those two songs, he wanted to do the solos on them. I said, are you sure? He goes, yes. So I gave him 2 songs. I sent him the tracks and he played guitar in those 2 songs.
Wonderful.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And the guy he has more awards than I have hair on my head. Sitting in his house collecting dust, he doesn't even care. Uh-huh. All he cares about is getting the word out. And when I started writing songs like Help Me God, Thank You God, and then I started getting miracles in my life. Then I started writing love songs to God.
Oh, wonderful.
Like You Are My God, Lord, things like that.
Wonderful. Now, you mentioned just a few seconds ago, Sometimes I Cry. That's the next song we're going to feature. And it's from the album called Unshackled. What can you tell us about this very passionate song?
This song was written when I was crying out to God, when everything went wrong in my life. I lost my mother. Right after my mother passed away, my brother was 38. He died of a heart attack, and I was left alone. I had no mother, no father, no brother. I had no siblings. All my grandparents were gone. I was alone. And my sister-in-law and I didn't get along, who my brother married, mm-hmm. unfortunately. And he had 2 kids. And they're very Jewish. So they don't like me at all. Uh-oh. I was like, thrown out of the family because I'm a Christian. But there's nothing more important to me than God.
Very good.
So he comes first in my life. Seek first the kingdom and everything else will be added.
There you go.
So the more I became a Christian and the more Christians I met, they became my family. And the bass player in my band, his name's Tony Burgess. He worked with Chaka Khan. I mean, I can't tell you how many people he's worked with. He was in my band when I was signed to Atlantic, and we weren't saved yet. So we were into the drugs and everything that was going on. You know, the record companies, everybody's doing drugs and drinking, and they don't care as long as you put out the music they want.
Right, yes.
And I met him then, and then I lost contact with him. And I was looking for him everywhere when I became a Christian. And I found him, and he joined our band, Sevenfold, with me and Rob Carlton. And I didn't know he was a Christian. And when he joined the band, we were playing everywhere. We were getting booked everywhere. And we did this one concert in California, and the band went on before us. And it was a rock band. You couldn't even tell. They were heavy metal. They were Martian and everything. And all of a sudden, the band stopped, and about 300 kids dropped to their knees and started praying.
Oh my, that's the power.
It was unbelievable.
Absolutely. Tell you what, we're going to feature that song. Sometimes I Cry. It is coming up right now. It's from the album Unshackled. Here, Sometimes I Cry on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Restore your joy to me. I've been
Unshackled, Carlton and Paige, and Sometimes I Cry right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast. We're speaking with Cheryl Paige, and you've been doing a lot of touring. Through the years, you've been doing a lot of touring, and from the time that you were 5 years old to present, you've had a lot of gigs. This next feature is called Tales from the Road. Those are those infamous road stories where things didn't go quite as planned. Kind of think of the movie Spinal Tap. Can you think of any particular time, Cheryl, that you got to a gig and things didn't go the way you planned?
Oh, sure. I did a concert for about 2,000 people, and I was wearing a halter top, and it was really hot out, and the button snapped, and oh boy.
Uh-oh. Hopefully that wasn't.
I don't have to tell you what happened.
Hopefully that wasn't a Christian show.
No, it was a secular jazz show. But still, on stage with 2,000 people out in the audience, and here I am holding it up, finishing the song. I walked off. They sewed me up. I came back out. The people were standing on their chairs, cheering, going crazy, even before I started the next song. And I'm thinking, well, I hope I'm not in the newspaper because they're always taking pictures of me.
Jeez. That's funny. That's the first, of all the years I've been doing this, I think this might be one of the very first wardrobe malfunctions I have featured in the show. Where you go. Love it.
It was a bad one.
Oh, I imagine. Hey, let's talk about how people can find out what you've got coming up here. How about your social medias? What's the best way for people to reach out to? And
they can go on my Facebook, or they can just punch in my name on Google, and everything will come up about me.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll include all the things that I can find and put that in the show notes so people can find out exactly what's the best way to reach out to you. How about us talk about the last song? It is something called The Power. This is from your album called Freedom Road also. What's the story on The Power?
This is a song about how much power the Holy Spirit gives you. When you get filled with the Holy Spirit and you keep in prayer, God says, never cease praying. Well, when you keep in prayer, miracles do happen. So when I wrote this song, I said, God, you have the power. You have to give it to me. I want it so bad. And boy, did I get it. And then I wrote this song called The Power.
So we're going to play that now to end the show. And I want to say thanks so much, Cheryl, for being a guest on the podcast. You are an absolute gift from heaven also to talk to, and part of our ever-growing Someone You Should Know family. Thanks so much for being on the show, Cheryl.
Thank you for having me, and God bless you.
Late in the morning, just about 2 a.m. I'm feeling kinda down, like I lost my best friend. I thought of you of yesterday, how everything went wrong. And so I tell my feelings by writing you this song. Oh, I'm crying uncontrollably. I can't shake this feeling. Only you can save me, Lord. I'm waiting for your healing. You've got the power, and I know it's true. That is why I'm sending my SOS to you. Lord, I know you hear me, 'cause I know you know my heart. I've got to make these changes before I fall apart. My life has been in bondage for so long I can't think straight. I'm searching for the freedom. How long, Lord, must I wait? Oh, I'm crying uncontrollably. I'm waiting for your healing. Won't you come and touch me, Lord? I can't shake this feeling. You've got the power. it's true. That is why I'm sending my SOS to you. Yeah. For your healing, you've got the power, and I know it's true. That is why I'm sending my SOS to you. Yeah, you've got the power, and I know it's true. That is why I'm sending my SOS to you. Yeah, you got the power, and I know it's true. That is why I'm sending my SOS to you. Yeah, you got the power. I know it's true. That is why I'm sending my SOS to you. Yeah, you got the power. I know it's true. That is why I'm sending my SOS to you. Yeah, you got the power.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.